Today, we're going to be talking about the Joseph Magnus Cigar Blend, arguably some of the finest finished bourbon that money can buy. When people talk about finished whiskeys, this bottle here is the gold standard. In fact, some of the earlier batches were so good that it basically invented its own segment within the whiskey industry called the Cigar Blend, which tons of other distilleries have been trying to chase a similar profile ever since. Now, do I think that this bottle here lives up to all that hype? Do I think that it commands these crazy secondary prices or even that $175 retail price? I don't know. But what I can tell you is welcome back to another episode of Neat Bourbon. My name's Tanner, and today we're talking Joseph Magnus Cigar Blend. That's right. This is basically the hardest to find of the Joseph Magnus lineup. It's heavily touted as some of the best bourbon money can buy. But I don't necessarily know if that's the case for me. I'm a huge Joseph Magnus fan. I don't want to say huge, but I am a Joseph Magnus fan. The regular sherry finished bottle was kind of like my first high proof bottle that my buddy and I got into, and that was, kind of like opened my eyes to higher proof whiskey, even though it's only 100 proof. The Murray Hill Club, I'm actually a pretty big fan of that bottle. It is expensive, but I do think the juice inside of it's pretty good. And then after like 2 years of like seeing how amazing the reviews are on this bottle, just was looking for it everywhere, couldn't find it for like less than $500. Finally, you hear these like mythical stories about like the Darth Vader batch and how like that bottle changed everybody's lives. It was so good. And then you have, these later batches, which I didn't even realize that the proofs were dropping on. The older batches, were in that like mid 120s, low 130 proof range, which that was what I was looking for. Saw this bottle, it was $175, didn't even hesitate, bought it, walked out of the store, looked at the label and was like, hold up, like this bottle clocks in at 57.6 proof, so what's that, 115.2? I was like, wait a second, I clearly got the wrong bottle. I got scammed. These bottles are not that low of proof. And they just started dropping those proofs, I guess, probably like the latter half of probably like 75 and later, something like that. Don't quote me on that, not 100% sure. But I do know that all the more recent batches are in this lower proof range. Sorry for my rant. But anyways, took me a while. Always wanted to see those tasting notes. Finally got a bottle. I felt like, it was going to be something like really cool. Finally going to have this ultra rare bottle. Going to have these cool tasting notes. Going to be able to follow along. See if I can pick out the notes that Nancy Fraley, can pick out. And kind of, see how I stack up against her. Or at least see how my palate compares. But anyways, been sipping on this one for a little bit. Want to go ahead and bring y'all a review on this. Anyways, on the nose, getting a whole lot of sweetness, like not very much oak. It is kind of like a butterscotch. It is like darker notes, like picking up like a faint amount of oak. And you would think I'd be picking up more oak considering it's like 11 to like 20 years age dated. This is a finished bourbon, by the way. What is it? It's in like Armagnac, sherry, and cognac cask. So not the biggest sherry finish fan, but I do like Armagnac and cognac finishes. I do think those deliver like a robust fruity note profile. The sherry can kind of be a little off-putting to me sometimes, but yeah, this is just overall like a very sweet, like confectionery sugar, a little bit of oak. You kind of like picking up some of like a fruit medley. On the nose, to me, this is like awesome. Like, I do agree with, other people's opinions that, like, the noses on these are fantastic. I feel like you can continue to, like, even getting, like, some, like some pink bubble gum on there as well. Anyways, cheers. Let's get into the palate. It does have, like, a medium viscosity there. The finish is, all right. It's still going. I have had a few sips of this tonight because, not gonna lie, I've, you can see, had a fair amount of it, sampled it out to a bunch of my friends. I even was able to pick up a second one of these, but I ended up trading it away because I wasn't overly impressed with this distillate. I keep going back to it though. I'm trying to give this thing a chance. I'm trying to like hoping that it'll open up and like give me this, like birth of flavors and just like knock me off my feet. But I even get like a little ethanol on that, or maybe it just drinks a lot hotter than I'm thinking like a 115 proof should. Like to me, it's definitely, but it's like not in like the best of way, if that makes sense. Like I think some of that, like when I'm thinking of it drinking hotter, is coming, from that ethanol. Coming on the palate, a lot, like to me, a lot of like finished bourbons can be over finished. And so I think a lot of the finished, flavors can kind of overpower the bourbon itself. I don't necessarily think that's the case here. This is a very like subtle finish. It does have some like fruity sweetness there, but like no flavors are like really standing out. It's just kind of like a very faint like fruitiness. Like I really think there's like even a nutty profile coming across here, and it's just kind of like seems out of place. I think to me, like I feel like there are too many like competing flavors here, and like nothing is really like standing out. They're kind of like they're like hints of fruit, but nothing substantial that like that like draws me back to the glass. That nutty profile, it just tastes a little funky with like those fruity flavors. There's not nearly as much oak as I would expect from like 11 to a 20-year-old, distillate in this bottle. I don't know if it's just like the finishes overpowering that oak. I'm not getting like a sweet oak, which I'm a huge fan of. I'm not even getting like any like dark chocolate notes either. I guess there's like, I get like the viscosity is kind of like sticking around on the palate, which I think is great. I'm not trying to like, throw any hate on this bottle or anything. It is good. Like I do enjoy this, but just like the amount of hype that was put around this bottle, like I don't think it lived up to that for me, and especially at like $175. Like I don't know. I would, like if it was like this or like a Michter's 10 bourbon from this year, I would have the Michter's 10, 10 times out of 10 and twice on Sunday. I don't know, even like a findable bottle, like to me, the Calumet 16 year, love that. Like that would, I think, outshine this. Like even, the Elytra Craig barrel proofs. Like I think like those, like this is drinking at like the same, kind of like heat level, but like some of the flavors here is coming from ethanol. Whereas, on the Elytra Craig barrel proof, you're getting more of like a cinnamon punch, kind of like flavor bomb there. I'm not like picking up like a flavor bomb. I'm just getting a lot of like hints of other flavors, which is good and I do enjoy, but at $175, I just kind of like expect a little bit more. And I don't know if it's because these later batches just are proofed down and, maybe they're putting out a lot more of them. Like I was able to pick up this like batch 114, and then like literally a month and a half later I had batch like 141. So I don't know if like, that's the case, that they're just like putting out a lot more. But Nancy Fraley, or at least Joseph Magnus, did stop producing tasting notes right at batch like 111, and it's been that way for months. They haven't released them. So I've been trying to save this bottle so I can ultimately one day maybe see those tasting notes and just see like, did I just get a bad bottle? I don't know. This is the only cigar blend also that I've had. Very rare. None of my friends have been able to track one down. Never even seen one at a Virginia ABC. I was actually able to get this one in New Jersey when I was, just doing some bourbon hunting, going out to visit a buddy who lived in New York. Anyways, I do think this is a good pour. I am enjoying it, but I just think it's overhyped. And I'm curious if anyone else, down in the comments below, has anyone else felt the same way about the Joseph Magnus cigar blend? I know throughout the whiskey tube community, this bottle is highly touted. It's like some of the best bourbon money can buy. But maybe it's just not the case with these later batches. I don't know. I haven't had the opportunity to try some of those earlier batches, but I just don't think that this glass here delivers like those overwhelming, robust, flavor profiles. It's just a lot of like hints. and maybe I just had the wrong, perception. But again, great bottle. I do enjoy it, but I'm probably going to pass the next time I see it. And I hate to say it on a bottle that so many people love. But anyways, once again, if you've enjoyed content like this, would you consider giving a like? Would you consider subscribing? Always love hearing from you guys. Really happy to bring these reviews to y'all each and every week. And as always, this is Neat Bourbon. My name's Tanner, and pop the bottles and share the pours, and we'll see you in the next one.